Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. A lot to get into, including the national championship game in college football tomorrow night, Indiana, Miami. But first, the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers and their offseason, which for them came a little sooner than they would have liked. Here to talk about it, all guys very familiar with the Steelers, Chris Adamski from the Trib. We have Jeff Hathhorn, 93.7 The Fan, Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette. Ray, I want to start with you on this one. First of all, this is the first time we've convened since Mike Tomlin decided to resign. Did I catch you off guard, #1? And #2, what do you think about this search? How long will it take to find his successor?
It did catch me off guard, Bob. You know, I thought it was a very tough season for Mike and for the Steelers. It was a roller coaster type of season for them. And I think both sides needed a change. This was Mike's decision, but I think it came to a point where both sides, I think, are going to benefit in the long run. And I think the search, it could go on for another week or so. I think ideally you would like to have the guy in place by the Senior Bowl so they can get their organization down there for the first scouting opportunity of the season, but they will not be rushed. They will be thorough and they will do a good job.
Yeah, I was surprised, but I wasn't shocked, if that makes sense. Like I kind of, the timing of it took me off guard, but I'm not completely surprised. It seemed like a lot of this stuff was turning personal. Like, and for Mike, I think he realized that he just wasn't going to go forward. Like, if they would have gone into week 2 and been 0-1 in that first quarter, the first time they punt, there would have been boos, fire Tomlin, like all that stuff. And I think he had had enough of that and realized that he couldn't go forward that way. It's going to be an interesting search.
Yeah, I think Art Rooney II said that exact terminology: surprised but not shocked. And I think that's kind of the way that the timing got me, especially. I don't want to speak for you two. Like, we were in that locker room. I didn't get any indication that within literally like 5 minutes of us leaving that room that the players were all told. I didn't feel like the players at all had any idea. I mean, maybe I'm bad at reading them. Maybe they're all, stone-faced. I don't know. But so after being in there with them, I didn't feel as all if it was at all imminent. Now, it didn't mean a week or two or whatever it might have been. But for it literally, we left that room and sat in our, within 15 minutes, it had been done already. The meeting had started. So that part of it definitely was surprising.
But let me say this real quick. I think you guys would agree with it. There was nothing in his coaching that led you to believe that was going to be his last game. Obviously he had thought about it, but there was he didn't act any differently. Is the same enthusiasm, the same guy. Because I know the reports that maybe he didn't care. That wasn't the case at all. That's why I think a lot of us were surprised, because there was no indicators from a practice or preparation standpoint that this was.
The only thing that surprised me was the timing of it. I didn't think it happened the very next day, 15 hours or whatever it was. So, Ray, let's talk about the search. Jerry Dulac had reported that he doesn't expect retreads, yet Mike McCarthy is going to be interviewed, and it looks like Brian Flores is coming back for a second. But you got a lot of young guys there who are DCs, OCs, and people that have been in demand, quite frankly. Who do you think they will get? And when I say who, not a name necessarily, but what kind of profile are you looking for? I
think it makes sense for the Steelers to interview McCarthy and Flores. Flores was here for a year. He impressed them, so I think they want to at least go down that road to give him a shot to interview for the head coaching job. And McCarthy has a long history with Omar Khan, going back a quarter century to their days with the New Orleans Saints. So I think it's smart for them to talk to Mike as well. I think this could end up going towards somebody from the McVay tree. I think the Steelers have a lot of respect for what the Rams have done the last couple of years. And there are 3 guys from McVay's staff, 2 current, 1 in Carolina, who have that background. I think all 3 of those guys are going to be strongly considered.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to interview people. As long as you don't drag out.
Tomlin got his job, right? He came in and blew him away.
As long as you don't drag out the process too long, it doesn't hurt to get other guys' ideas. Hell, maybe you could steal ideas that you could use, that they present to you in an interview setting, that you could use going forward. I agree with Ray with some of his. I like Jeff Hafley. He was a guy I remember when he was first kind of starting at Pitt.
Hathhorn.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was about to say there. It's crazy.
No, I don't want to.
Jeff Hathhorn.
Yeah, that's what I want, is all the people thinking it's me making these calls at games. But, everywhere he's gone, what you read is he's gotten a second interview. I think he's talked to 6 different teams, and they all want him back for another interview, which tells me that he's impressive. And I think even when he was a young coach, you could see that there's something about the guy that commanded respect, and that's the guy that I like.
I think Art Rooney talked about keeping an open mind, keeping an open book when you start the process. You would think, and I think they think, probably to trend younger, probably not a retread, use that term, or a new coach. That's what they've done. It seems to be working across the league, generally speaking, although, and then again, you go to some Joe Starkey in one of his first columns for the Tribs, talked about how retreads have won most of the Super Bowls this year. Now, Bill Belichick's a lot of them, so that's a big part of it. But I think you take an open mind, you talk to Mike McCarthy, maybe there is something there. We'll see. I mean, I would imagine Aaron Rodgers, your quarterback, the past 8 months was talking up Mike McCarthy to a point to that level. Not that he'll necessarily be here for sure, but that's just something you take that up in mind. But I would still think, I don't think they go offense or defense or go into the process thinking offense or defense necessarily. You kind of just talk to some younger minds and see where you go and just at least pick their brain, get ideas. But I think if you do get a defensive coach, you need to have, he has to come in there and say, I have this guy or this guy or this guy. It's a quarterback guru.
Shula.
Well, there you go. Yes. People talk about that.
Yes. I like him. This the name.
I mean, he's probably the most like Tomlin, right? The underdog. Right. He's the young guy. He could, and it sounds like everything you hear about him, like he could probably walk into an interview and blow people away.
Yeah. So, all right, real quick before we go to break, I want to get your quick thoughts about what happened with the Giants and with the Falcons. So, Harbaugh didn't waste any time. He saw a quarterback he liked, Ray, and Jackson Dart goes there. And now we see that Atlanta's reached out, and it didn't take long for them to come up with Kevin Stefanski. I would have liked the Steelers to have interviewed Stefanski, not Harbaugh. That was never going to be an option. But, I mean, just to see what this guy was all about, because he's still young at 43. Your take on those?
I think the PR hit for hiring a former Cleveland coach, I don't know if the Steelers wanted to go down that road. We should also mention Jeff Hafley is pretty far along with the Dolphins in their search, so something could shake down there. So we are getting to the point now where these jobs are going to start going off the board, and I think this pool of candidates will get smaller as we go. And I think the picture will be clear, I think, by midweek, maybe later this week.
I mean, Stefanski could be the best offensive mind in the world, but to Ray's point, how do you bring in the failed Browns coach as your new coach?
All right, unless you thought he wasn't the problem and he got victimized or put in as a scapegoat role.
Yeah, but then he would come here with no quarterback. Well, I know he doesn't have a quarterback in Atlanta, but there's more offensive talent there than there is here.
I think you need to I get what you're saying totally, and I get the Steelers and Browns go back 70 years or whatever it is at this point. But the same, like Jeff Hafley, I don't say he failed at Boston College, but he would have go 7-6 at Boston College. It doesn't mean he's a bad head coach or bad head coach.
Everyone fails at Boston.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Just as everyone fails with the Jets and Giants too. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens.
You take the resume as is at this point and kind of go from there. You're right. It wouldn't have hurt whether they interview or whether they hire the ex-Browns coach is one thing or another. But that's the one thing that if those two hirings people that the Steelers were not interested in interviewing, so kind of the market's sort of getting more in their favor where they have the choice of some of their guys. If a couple of their top choices got taken off the board right away, that wouldn't have been to their advantage.
All right, we're going to take a break on that note. When we come back, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, who may or may not be back. Should he be back? We'll get into that and other Steeler decisions they're going to have to make about this roster all next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, we're back talking about quarterback because that's still another thing the Steelers have got to figure out. Aaron Rodgers was here probably 1 year and done, but we don't know that because players and their exit interviews indicated they may like him back. Jeff, you were over there a lot, as all you guys were. What does your gut tell you about Aaron Rodgers? To me, it was always going to be Mike Tomlin's choice. He wanted him more than anyone. Now that he's gone, I think he's not going to be back. What do you think?
No, but if they hire Mike McCarthy or if Mike LaFleur were to come here and Matt's brother and say, hey, you know what, Aaron's still got some time. You don't have a quarterback option. He loved it there. Maybe. I mean, I don't think he will be back. I do think it was a relationship with Tomlin. He talked about it a lot. I'll say this overall with the Rodgers experiment. He didn't end up being good enough. But I was impressed with how well he got to know guys in the room, how much he loved football, how much he cared. Like, it was much different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it. I think, and this isn't a knock at all, because I think for 2025, it was probably the Steelers' best option, the best chance for a quarterback. And I think overall, for what you could reasonably expect a 41, 42-year-old, I think he went over the bar, I think. But at the same time, I think it's the classic. You don't want to be 1 year too late than 1 year too early, for sure. And because I do think he is such, and everything you said is absolutely right. I think he was a great fit in the locker room. I think everybody up and down the organization was better off for the experience. But at the same time, you don't want to have to bench him like, let's say, especially if you're a young coach, let's say they hire a Shieldhouse who's 5 years younger or whatever it is. He's going to go and bench Aaron Rodgers after week 8 because they're in a couple bad games. I mean, and then you're kind of stuck. So I think that's one reason. Not that you do it for that reason, but I think you don't want that super person. You're trying to bring in a new regime here. Aaron Rodgers, again, he was great this year, but he's still a massive personality that's going to loom over whatever this new coach is going to try to do.
Listen, he was great at the line of scrimmage, guys. I mean, he can still see the game better than, I think, 99, or he can do it better than 90% of the quarterbacks playing today. Just the physical skills, not being able to move around, I think really hurt him this year. I'm of the opinion where I think this is a great opportunity to strip down the roster, get younger, not just at the quarterback position. I think some other positions as well. Gives this coach a new, fresh start with a different roster.
A lot of people thought at the beginning of the season, you guys all know this, that, oh, the draft's coming to Pittsburgh. This is the time the Steelers are going to pick their next quarterback. Well, it hasn't played out that way. And it's going to be very difficult, I think, to get one. But, Jeff, what do you think this quarterback room looks like to start next season? And how much of a chance does Will Howard actually get?
I mean, it depends on who the head coach is. Because, again, it could be somebody that has ties to somebody or that's somebody they bring in. I think their starter is not on the roster right now. I don't think it'll be Mason, and I don't think it's good. I mean, Will's never even played in an exhibition game, preseason game, let alone a real game.
But you got to find out at some point.
And Art made it very clear that we don't waste years. So I don't see how they don't have some veteran coming in.
That's a good point. He did say that.
Yeah, if I had to guess now, I would say the same thing as somebody outside the organization. I think that we'll keep Mason Rudolph and Will Howard and kind of see how it goes. I think they'll be open-minded to the draft pick and see how it goes. Maybe the problem is, of course, free agency comes before the draft. So you're going to have to prioritize. Everybody's going to say Malik Willis, whoever it is, a veteran you bring in, and that'd be fine probably as again, I'm going to say stopgap or bridge, but maybe you hit a home run and he is your long guy, but probably not. But you kind of paint yourself into a corner, I think, and you have to bring in a veteran. And then I don't know, like you said, it's great. The best quarterback class or the best draft class is always the next year's class. I hear that a lot said this year. Everybody said, look at 2027. Well, everybody said that this year last time at 2026. And especially nowadays with NIL and everything, you never know who's coming out and when. So to sit here and plan ahead like that, you can't do it. And it sure doesn't seem like where they're at, or even at that 21 or the 21st overall, even in that 10 to 15 range, you want to trade up. Doesn't, as of now, and everything could change in the combine, doesn't seem like there's a quarterback that's going to be a good fit.
I agree.
If it is one of the Rams' assistants, think about their quarterbacks. Jared Goff a few years back, Matthew Stafford the last couple of years, pocket quarterbacks who can see the field, more traditional pro-style quarterbacks. That goes away from what Mike Tomlin wanted his last couple of years, but that's something to keep in mind if they do land one of those guys.
We got to take a break again. When we come back, we're going to talk about the individual players that a lot of you will be talking about, who comes back, who leaves. All of that is up next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, we're talking about the Steelers roster. I know it's early, season just ended, but man, it happens fast. The draft will be here in April. Chris Adamski, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to start with this name, Broderick Jones, because he has an option due, and we saw what Dylan Cook did. What do you think they'll do with Broderick Jones? I
think at this point, I don't think they can pick up the option. I don't think you can, with a straight mind, say, you know what, he's our guy of the future.
Let him earn it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't pick up the option, doesn't mean he's not back. You can still keep an open mind. It might cost you more. That means if it does, that means he had a really good year and he came back. You might anger him, but I mean, I think he's the type you might be. I don't know. We'll see, but I don't think you can sit here and say, you know what, we want him another 5th year for sure. It's almost $20 million at this point.
I mean, let's see what the new O-line coach wants, but I would say right now that they will. I think he was making enough progress. I think they'll pick it up.
I don't think you can, and I think a big part of this is the neck injury. It's always difficult to come back from neck injuries, and I don't even think the Steelers know at this point how severe the injury is. All
right, now we'll move on to some more juicy names. TJ Watt, because there are a lot of people who last year thought the best move would have been either to, let him play out his final year, franchise him, or trade him. What do you think happens to TJ Watt, Chris?
Well, that ship sailed from last year. You could, in hindsight, you could definitely make that case, I suppose. But at this point, the dead money, even if you make a trade, is going to be kind of prohibitive. And they're not going to cut him for sure. I still think he's an impact player. He's probably not the $41 million type impact player, but you got to, I think, run it back one more year with him. Unless a new coach is to be a real big personality, really get off the. These are pretty unprecedented times for the Steelers coach, a GM in his third or fourth year, but I still think TJ will be back.
I mean, I'd love to strip it down and kind of start over, but I don't see the Steelers doing that. TJ's back.
Plus, the price wouldn't be all what it would have been last year, right?
Right.
I mean, it would have been a lot better if you'd done it from a return.
Right. The dead money actually isn't that bad if they trade him because he does have a high. I think his salary next year is $30 million, so that new team would have to pick that up. But the new coach is going to have some players to build around. And if TJ wants to be back, I think the Steelers will have him back. But I think it might be up to him.
Jalen Ramsey, Chris. He's the guy that was brought here with Jonnu Smith. I love that trade when it happened. When the year went on, I didn't come away thinking it was that great of a trade. So I thought they used Jonnu Smith more. But anyway, Ramsey, will he be back?
I'll go out on a limb and say no, just because I think the new head coach will kind of want to come in again, and that's definitely an area. You don't have a legacy type player, and I don't think he was bad this year at all, but it's also the point of what he is, and I think he's a big personality too. And again, a new head coach comes in, get a little bit younger, get his new guys.
They've interviewed a lot of defensive coordinators. Defensive coordinators like guys like Ramsey. You get Elliott back, I think Ramsey would return too.
Good team player. He moved to safety, unselfish. The Steelers got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, however. He was making $18 million a year. He wasn't making enough plays. For as unselfish as he was, Ramsey didn't make enough plays either. So if he does come back, I think it'll have to be a reduced number.
All right, Calvin Austin. I bring this up only because they don't have enough receivers as it is, it seems, and he could make a choice to move on.
I think they'll keep him as long as it's be a low-level kind of market deal, kind of to be, is it like a number 3 or number 4 wide receiver money as a depth. Unless somebody, test the market, unless somebody blows him away, I think he'll be happy to be back too.
Yeah, as long as the number isn't big, maybe he gets a 2-year deal to try to prove it here.
Yeah, 2 years, $6 million maybe. I don't think you go much beyond that.
All right, Cam Hayward. And I say this with a lot of admiration for Cam Hayward because he was outstanding this year, but he's going to be a year older.
Yeah, and all the talk last summer was, wait, Cam, you have one good year, we'll take care of you next summer, which means a new contract is going to have to be big. So that's the problem, is if you don't keep him, you can't let him run it out the last year at this point, I think, after what happened last year. So I don't know then. It could get kind of, I don't say ugly, but kind of, what do you want to play, that kind of thing. So I'll predict it's still back because of everything that's going on.
This is one I wonder that he might really want to chase a title. He maybe doesn't feel the allegiance anymore with Tomlin gone.
Good point.
I think Cam might go somewhere else.
Look at Calais Campbell. I mean, he's probably 5 years older than Cam. He's still playing. Cam can still do it. I don't think he has to stop playing at 37, 38. So if you can find a team that wants to take on his salary, I think
he's playing at a high level.
That's true.
He really is. One more real quick. Yes or no? Jonnu Smith. He didn't do what they...
No.
The Cordero Patterson of 2025. No.
There we go. All right, there are going to be a lot of new faces, starting with a coaching staff and then players, of course, so it's going to be an active offseason. When we come back, we are going to talk about Indiana-Miami, and that's a big game coming up tomorrow night for Curt Cignetti next. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, don't settle for anything less than #1 Cochran Kia's clearly better car buying experience. You can enjoy exclusive clear-cut pricing where you get their most competitive offer and you get it up front. Take advantage of exceptional lease rates, finance rates as well, and choose from a lineup of hundreds of new Kia models. You can experience clearly better car buying at #1 Cochran Kia, in-store, online, cochrankia.com. All right, so I said we're going to talk about Miami. We'll do that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about another interesting thing, and that would be, Ray, Kyle Tucker. He had 22 home runs last year, 23 the year before. He gets $240 million from the Dodgers. Yeah. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball, #1? And to me, this makes it clear there's no shot to keep Paul Skeens. No matter what they offer, even if they would, which I don't think they would.
They're the new Yankees. I mean, exactly what the New York Yankees used to do is what the Dodgers do now. I don't blame the Dodgers. I blame the system. I mean, he's making $60 million a year, Bob. The Pirates' entire payroll is $90 million or so. So that tells you how unbalanced it is.
That's just one player
in Major League Baseball.
They have 9 guys on their team, Jeff, who have over $100 million contracts.
I hope they keep doing it. I hope they keep signing all the big players to all big money, because maybe finally that enough of the mid-market to lower upper market will get ticked off enough to say, what are we doing here? or why am I spending all this money when we could just cap this thing and make it more fair? I mean, I hope the Dodgers sign everybody. Sign them all. Sign them all.
Yeah, but I don't think that would
make it
impact Bob Manning one way or the other.
You know,
as long as he
baseball
gets
will tell you,
revenue-sharing money.
oh, they've had different winners the last few years. Yeah, the Dodgers won it 2 of the last 3. They were different winner. They weren't back-to-back. But, I mean, you've created the Dodgers, a couple of teams, and then
Well, the Yankees and the Mets.
tadpoles.
The Mets are doing it now, too. You know, they just gave Bo Bichette $170 million, whatever it was.
Every syllable you just said, or whatever that line is. Now, you asked if they're ruining baseball. I think this actually fixes baseball because I think this is the tipping point. I think it's finally the point where even the people, the Yankee fans, those other owners, and those other big, quote unquote, big markets that aren't the Dodgers, the fans, the media, everybody said, oh, they don't need a cap. Well, they need a cap. I think this finally proves because Kyle Tucker's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he is not Ohtani. He's not he might be the 4th best player in that lineup. And he's making $60 million a year.
I'd say the 6th best player in that lineup.
Well, yeah, you're probably right.
They have too much talent over there. And, hey, listen, the Dodgers are going to pay this year $165 million in luxury tax money. That's better than how many payrolls? I mean, you can go right down the list of teams that don't spend $165. All right, Miami, Indiana, coming up next. Don't go away. All right, Indiana is an 8-point favorite. Chris, I want to go right down the line. Who do you like? Indiana, give me the point spread against Miami.
I think they'll cover. I think they're going to win big. Hoosiers big.
I think Crimson Hawks by 17.
And that's tough for you to say because you're an Ohio State guy.
No, I mean, IUP. I mean, it all started at IUP, and Indiana's going to benefit.
All right.
Indiana by 7.
I say Indiana by 15. It's going to be a lopsided game. And Hard Rock will be a hard time for the Miami Hurricanes. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us. We have new cameras. Can you tell? They're as tall as the Empire State Building. We like them. We'll be back next Sunday night.